It was a slow afternoon at the restaurant, the kind of day where time dragged, but the staff kept moving. The air smelled of fresh coffee and warm bread. The soft hum of conversations blended with the clinking of silverware. At the counter, Maya, a young black waitress, wiped down a tray. She had worked here for 3 years, and though the job wasn't always easy, she enjoyed it. She greeted customers with a warm smile, moving from table to table, making sure everyone was taken care of. The place wasn't fancy, but it had its charm. Wooden tables, framed pictures on the walls, and a jukebox in the corner playing soft jazz. Regulars filled their usual spots, chatting over plates of pancakes and steaming cups of coffee. The door swung open, and Maya glanced up. Another customer. She adjusted her apron and straightened her shoulders. No matter how tired she was, she always tried to give the best service. She grabbed a menu and walked toward the entrance. "Good afternoon. Welcome in. Would you like a booth or a table?" she asked, her voice light and friendly. The man barely looked at her. He smirked, eyes scanning the room before finally settling on her. The man took a slow look around before finally settling into a booth near the window. He was in his late 40s, dressed in an expensive suit, but his posture was lazy, almost dismissive. His expression held a smug confidence, like he owned the place. Maya kept her smile and handed him the menu. "Here you go. Can I get you something to drink while you decide?" The man looked her up and down, then scoffed. "Water?" "No lemon," he muttered, not even glancing at the menu. Maya nodded. "Sure thing, I'll be right back." As she turned to leave, she heard him chuckle. It was quiet, but loud enough to make her pause. She ignored it and walked to the counter, filling a glass with ice water. When she returned, he was still smirking. "Here you go," she said, placing the water down carefully. The man finally met her eyes, tilting his head. "You know, I don't see a lot of people like you working in places like this." His tone was casual, but something about it felt off. Maya's stomach tightened. She knew exactly what he meant, but she kept her face neutral. "We've got a great team here," she replied smoothly. "Have you had a chance to look at the menu?" He snorted. "I guess they just hire anyone these days." He shook his head and leaned back, amusement flashing in his eyes. Maya gripped her notepad a little tighter. Maya took a slow breath, forcing herself to stay calm. She had dealt with rude customers before. This wasn't new. "What can I get started for you?" she asked, keeping her voice steady. The man smirked, flipping the menu shut, without even looking at it. "I'll take the steak, medium rare, and make sure it's done right." Maya jotted it down. "Got it? Anything else?" He leaned on the table, eyes narrowing slightly. "Yeah, don't take too long. I know how you people are with time." Her fingers twitched around the pen. She didn't flinch, didn't let him see that his words had landed. Instead, she gave a curt nod. "I'll put that in for you right away." She turned on her heel, heading toward the kitchen. Behind her, she heard him chuckle again, low and smug. "Unbelievable," she muttered under her breath as she passed the counter. Inside the kitchen, she handed the order to the chef. "1 steak, medium rare." The chef glanced at her. "You good?" Maya forced a small smile. "Yeah, just another customer." She turned to leave, but as she stepped back into the dining area, she saw the man watching her, still smirking. As she approached his table, he tapped the edge of his glass. "You know," he said, loud enough for the nearby customers to hear, "I read somewhere that people like you work harder because you don't have many options." Maya clenched her jaw. Nearby, a few heads turned, but no one said anything. She inhaled sharply, steadying herself. "Would you like a refill on your water?" she asked, her voice calm. The man grinned. "Nah, I'm good, just enjoying the entertainment." Maya walked back to the counter, her hands gripping the tray a little too tightly. She exhaled, forcing herself to relax. This wasn't the first time she had dealt with someone like him, but that didn't make it any easier. Behind the counter, her coworker Lisa, a fellow waitress, gave her a knowing look. "That guy giving you trouble?" she asked, nodding toward the booth. Maya shrugged. "Just another one of those customers." Lisa sighed. "Want me to take over?" Maya shook her head. "No. I got it." She turned back toward the kitchen to check on the steak. The chef, Carlos, was already plating it. "That guy's been watching you since you walked away," he muttered, sliding the plate onto the counter. Maya sighed. "Yeah, I noticed." She picked up the plate and walked back to the table. The man leaned back in his seat, watching her approach like he was enjoying some kind of show. "Here you go," she said, setting the plate down gently. He smirked. "Wow, that was fast. I guess you people do know how to move when you need to." Maya's grip on the tray tightened. She felt heat rise in her chest, but she swallowed it down. "Let me know if you need anything else," she said, turning to walk away. Behind her, she heard his chuckle again. She clenched her fists. Then, the restaurant door opened, and everything changed. The soft chime of the restaurant doorbell rang, and the usual hum of conversation suddenly quieted. Maya didn't think much of it at first. She was too focused on keeping her emotions in check. But then she noticed the shift in the air, the subtle murmurs, the way heads turned toward the entrance. She glanced over her shoulder and froze. Standing near the doorway, casually adjusting a pair of sunglasses, was a well-known celebrity. Someone instantly recognizable. Someone who had been in blockbuster movies, featured on magazine covers, and admired by millions. Maya blinked. She had seen celebrities before. This wasn't a high-end restaurant, but it wasn't unusual for famous faces to stop by. Still, this one was different. This was someone she admired. The atmosphere in the restaurant changed. A few customers whispered excitedly, nudging each other. Some reached for their phones but hesitated, unsure whether to ask for a picture. The rude customer, however, seemed completely unaware. He continued cutting into his steak, too caught up in his own arrogance to notice the presence of someone important. Maya stood still for a moment, gathering herself. She wasn't sure if the celebrity had noticed anything happening between her and the man in the booth, but as she turned back toward the counter, she realized something. The celebrity wasn't just here for a meal. They were watching. And they had heard everything. Maya felt a shift in the room. It wasn't just the excitement of having a celebrity in the restaurant. It was something else. She turned back toward the counter, pretending not to notice, but her heart pounded in her chest. The celebrity took a slow look around, then strolled toward an open seat, right next to the rude customer. The man still hadn't noticed. He was too busy chewing his steak, wiping his mouth with a napkin like he owned the place. Then, the celebrity spoke. "Excuse me," they said, their voice calm but firm. "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation." The man finally looked up. His smug expression faded slightly when he realized who was standing in front of him. He blinked, clearly caught off guard. The celebrity tilted their head. "I have to say, I'm surprised. I didn't think people still talk like that in public." Maya froze. Her pulse raced. The man let out a nervous chuckle, shifting in his seat. I don't know what you mean," he said, forcing a weak smile. The celebrity gave a small, unimpressed nod. "Oh, I think you do." The restaurant was silent now. Everyone was watching. The celebrity crossed their arms. "You know, respect isn't something you just demand from people. It's something you give first." The man opened his mouth, but no words came out. Maya swallowed hard. She had never seen anyone shut down a rude customer so quickly. The celebrity didn't look angry. They didn't even raise their voice. But their presence alone was enough to shift the entire mood of the room. Maya exhaled slowly. For the first time since the man had walked in, she felt like she wasn't alone. The man blinked, his smirk flickering for a brief moment. He looked around the restaurant, as if hoping someone would back him up. No one did. Every pair of eyes was locked on him, waiting. Maya stood near the counter, gripping a tray, her breath steady but her heart racing. The celebrity didn't move. They didn't need to. Their words had already shifted the energy in the room. The man let out a forced chuckle. "Come on," he said, waving a hand. "It was just a joke." The celebrity raised an eyebrow. "A joke?" they repeated, their voice cool. "I don't think she was laughing." The man's smirk wavered. He looked at Maya as if expecting her to jump in and defend him. But she didn't. She simply stood there, silent. The tension thickened. A few customers whispered among themselves. Someone near the back muttered, "Good." Another nodded in agreement. The man swallowed, gripping his fork tighter. "Look, I didn't mean anything by it," he muttered, suddenly focused on his plate. The celebrity gave a slow nod. "Then maybe next time, think before you speak." Their tone wasn't angry, just matter of fact. The man had nothing to say. Maya felt a strange sense of relief wash over her. For the first time that day, the weight on her shoulders felt lighter. The restaurant wasn't against her, and neither was the moment. The man exhaled sharply, clearly uncomfortable. He shifted in his seat, glancing around, realizing there was no easy way out of this. The confidence he had when mocking Maya was gone. He picked up his fork again, but the food didn't seem as appealing anymore. The celebrity didn't say anything else. They didn't need to. Their presence alone had flipped the entire situation. Maya finally stepped forward, standing tall. "Would you like anything else?" she asked, her voice steady. The man shook his head. "No, just the check." She gave him a short nod and walked to the counter. Lisa was already printing the receipt, smirking slightly as she handed it over. That was satisfying to watch. Maya let out a quiet chuckle, grabbing the check and heading back to the table. The man pulled out his wallet without a word. He placed a few bills on the table and got up quickly, keeping his head down as he walked toward the exit. He didn't look at Maya. He didn't look at the celebrity. He just wanted to disappear. The door swung shut behind him. A soft breath of relief escaped Maya's lips. The celebrity glanced up at her and smiled. "You okay?" Maya nodded. "Yeah, thanks for that." They shrugged. Some people just need to be reminded how to act. Maya smiled, truly smiled this time. She turned back to work, the weight on her chest finally gone, and the restaurant felt a little warmer than before.